It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
What's going on, everybody? It's Two Guys and a Goalie, 12:02, the day after the Edmonton Oilers knock off the Vancouver Canucks. And, boy, we got lots to discuss on this one. Wait for Kassian to join us. He's going to be by as well. He did a great job on the postgame show last night. Gage, in a tribute to you usually being around here, I'm having a beverage while we're doing the show today. Got a little Two Hoots in me here, which is absolutely delicious. Yeah, we got a lot of Two Hoots kicking around here. So, yeah, if you've not yet tried Two Hoots Hard Iced Tea, it is absolutely delicious. You are going to love it. Cass has just joined. Zacticum is going to get him set up as well. I'll just quickly say here before we bring Cass in, Gager, I finished Fallout. I'm completely up to date on Fallout. And, man, what a show. Like, just let Walton Goggins cook. That guy is going to win some awards for his work in Fallout. He's brilliant. Brilliant guy.
It's the first of many video game adaptations that are coming out with the success of all these things. I did some research, Dusty. There's like 7 different shows coming out in the next little while.
Seriously?
Yeah, I haven't played these ones. Maybe Cass has. I read a BioShock. I guess it's a really good story. That's going to be a TV series, and Gears of War. And I did play that a little bit. But that's another one that could come out eventually too. So
by Zacticum's reaction, he's played Gears of War.
I'm fired up.
Yeah, I was going to say you should have seen him. He's just like,
oh, is he?
Oh yeah, very excited.
I think Netflix has confirmed both of those. So
really
exciting.
All right,
yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. It's all of the no pun intended here. It's all the fallout from the Super Mario movie being so damn good. Right? That Super Mario movie was awesome. There's like video games, all the video games. Two Guys and Goalie is presented by GS Construction, setting the industry standard for 50 years with quality, efficiency, and safety driving their success. GS Construction has a foundation built on teamwork, and now they want you to become a part of the team. Visit www.gsconstruction.ca and click Ready to Work. You can't miss it. Just scroll down, Ready to Work. Visit their page at indeed.ca as well for more information. With the Next Up Person program at GS Construction, it's not just a job, it can be a career. All right, let's bring in Matt Kassian, who I think is doing his career job right now. Cass, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, man?
Not a whole lot. So I was wrapped up in typing a very detailed email, and I was like, oh, I have time before we start at 12. And then I looked at the clock, and I was like, oh, shoot. Time goes quickly. But I'm good. I'm recovering from yesterday. A lot of excitement, boys. Lot of excitement.
Just throw it into Chat GPT.
Yeah, I should have done that. Yeah,
Gager, you've dabbled in that, the ChatGPT stuff. I'm still too intimidated to get into it. It creeps me out a little bit.
I mean, I don't completely cheat with it, but if I write something, and you look at it and go, does that make sense? And then I'll throw it in there, and sometimes it doesn't sound like me, so I have to readjust, but it does help out with and cuts down on time too, right? So, and you can refine it to make it how you want to sound. So, I mean, at this point, it's just another tool, right? So, and nothing, when you got writer's block with an email, that sucks.
My emails are always very short and quick. I'm like, hey, we need to do this right away. Okay, thank you. Bye. That's it. I don't think I've sent a long email in a long time. Cass, you going to start dabbling in this Chat GPT or what? Are you going to take Gage's advice?
No, I already do. No, I'll do the same thing with Gage. It's like you do it, and you have to change it because it sounds robotic and it doesn't sound like you. But as far as structuring some things and for some ideas where you're like, I don't know how to word this, it can be pretty helpful. So, yeah.
Oh, good to know.
Robust.
Good to know. Cass, how was the post game last night, buddy? I was riding along with you guys
it was good.
For most of it.
It was exciting.
How did you keep up with the chat? Because I saw you still in there chatting with people, but it was
can't.
That was nuts.
You try. Yeah. There's too much sometimes. But my favorite thing right now is I know you guys call it putting people in timeout, but I've been calling it putting people in jail. Like they go to jail.
Yes.
And I love threatening people. It's like if they're dominating and they're just saying the same thing over and over and being really antagonistic, I'm like, I will threaten them. I'll be like, we will put you in jail. And they'll be like, yeah, go ahead, put me in jail. And then they get put in jail. And it's great. I love it. I love that kind of power. It's fantastic.
You do have too much power over there. That's that's good. But I thought last night was actually a pretty happy spot. All the Canucks fans didn't want to show their face. The odd Stars fan already trickled in, and then there's always just those local trolls, like they're Edmonton based, but they don't even really care about anything, and they just want to get in and try to piss everybody else off. So those guys are always lurking as well. I look at it as Do Fishpee, the guy in the chat every morning. I know you guys probably see him a little bit. He's always trying to stir it up as well.
I blocked him.
Did you?
I don't see his stuff.
Wait, can you block individuals on the? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he can't see me and I can't see him because he's ridiculous. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good to know. All right. It's Two Guys a Goalie presented to you by GS Construction. Gager, let's get your thoughts. Game 7. It was kind of pretty for quite some time, and then one turnover by Ryan McLeod, and just full blown panic mode for about the next 4 minutes. And then I thought after the timeout, man, they got cooled down a little bit, didn't they?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was for the better part just focusing on McLeod. Like for most of that game, I was happy with his effort. Like he was first in on the puck, taking hits, making plays, not panicking too much, and then that one little mistake where he has tons of time to do something with it, and makes a small blunder. And credit to the Canucks, they jumped all over that. Connor Garland with a quick shot, great goal. But and then you saw the pesky Canuck comeback that they've kind of been known for this whole playoffs. But sticking with it, I mean they after that second goal, I felt the Oilers had it well under control. Although the crowd was in it, and they were getting.
You still felt pretty good after that second one.
Well, they didn't get a shot.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's true. The rest of the way, I was still pretty nervous though.
I was nervous.
Yeah,
I was nervous from like after the first goal till like a minute after the second one, and then I just it's going to be a weird bounce if anything because they can't even get the puck through.
Cass, would you agree with Gage on McLeod? I said it this morning on our show, and I've been overly critical of McLeod's lack of willingness to kind of get involved physically prior to the turn. And I know he was getting torched last night after the game. He was still getting torched this morning, even though they ended up winning. But prior to the turnover last night, I'm with Gager. Like I actually kind of liked McLeod's game last night.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It's probably one of his better games. Was stable defensively up until that point. Was involved and around the net. Like he was there. But pretty hard to look past that because really without that turnover, Vancouver has no chance. Like there's no stress in that game at all. The last 8 minutes, it's like you can't make that turnover with 8 minutes left. So I get why people were frustrated with him. Now that kind of overshadows that he had a solid game before that.
Yeah.
But that turnover, man, like that just about came back to absolutely bite you. Now it didn't, so it's fine. We can all move on. He can move on. But
I mean, as far as places to turn the puck over, Cass, that's probably the one spot you don't want to do it. Like
the worst. Oh man, it was.
And just out of nowhere, like they had the full game in control,
nowhere.
And then, like boom, grab it, Garland scores.
Whoops.
Gager, yeah. I know. Like last night, people were also they didn't like that goal got by Skinner, but I mean, quick turnover, point blank. You like a save there, but I don't know if you can really blame him on that one either. Like,
I don't know if you blame him, but again, it's a stoppable puck.
Don't even.
What's Cass talking about?
He's gonna freak out if you try to blame Skinner in any way.
Just keep
in any way, he's gonna lose his mind.
No, this has been kind of what's happened. Quick turnovers in the offensive zone. Skinner doesn't seem prepared for it, and this is a puck that you can stop. It's not. He has time to recognize the play, and if you watch his body language, he was relaxed. You can't do that until that puck's outside the blue line. That's what I saw. I'm nitpicking. It's a great shot, but it's also I think we've seen him make that save hundreds of times throughout the regular season, and at a crucial part like that. You just that just puts water on the whole thing, and it finishes 3-0 if that happens.
Campbell would have made that save. Yeah, my goodness. I don't get how people, especially after Game 6 and Game 7, are just still just like, oh, Stuart Skinner, you should have made that, should have made the save, could have made every save. You should have a shutout every single game. If a single puck goes in, well, you should have made a big save in that.
Well, Katz, let me ask you this: Are you super duper confident in him going into the next round?
I'm confident in him going into the next round. Yeah, I am. It's going to be. Listen, it's going to be a tough series. It's going to be a tough series. Dallas is a very, very good team. They're a very good team, but it's I feel confident in him. What you want to call up Jack Campbell?
No. I mean, you're going to go with him, or you're going to go with Pickard. Pickard. We'll get to it a little bit more during Hire It or Fire It for GS Construction here coming up. I mean, I'm not as confident as you sound like you are in Skinner heading into the next round. Gager, you're the goalie, you're the realist here. What do you think?
I like it because the fact that you could go to Pickard at any time, especially in the next series, because he had a great game in Dallas, if I remember correctly, with a win too, I think. So, if there seems to be some dips in Skinner's game, he still is able to have someone to go back to. I don't know.
You know what I like while we're talking? I can hear Cass furiously replying on his keyboard to the nasty chat, which is just great. Oh, God, I love it. All right, you can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Rip City steps in and says, guys, that's my secret. I'm always nervous. So he could just handle that game because he's just always nervous. So he doesn't have to worry about it. Big Slam Nasty, 780-218-9999. If you're listening on TuneIn or on iHeart or watching on YouTube, you can obviously always text us at 780-218-9999. Guys, what did you think of the officiating last night? I was worried after reading the stat of Chris Rooney favoring Vancouver, but the game was actually solid. Also, I didn't see a lot of people kicked out of the dot either last night. Cass, you want to take that one first? What do you think of the officiating last night?
Well, the kicked out of the dot is, I don't know, sometimes linesmen, everyone's cheating in the faceoffs, and it seems kind of arbitrary
every time,
at times.
Right?
Because guys are always, everyone's trying to cheat. Both guys, all the time, every time, and they should be. And it's just kind of arbitrary, it seems, for when guys get kicked out or not. It's like they're justifying what they're doing, the linesmen. Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit nervous with that too. It's kind of a crazy stat with Rooney, to think about it. It's a crazy stat. With that being said, you always have to look beyond the officials. Generally, officials don't have that much of an impact, or as much as sometimes we'd like to make them out to have in a game, unless it's so crazy blatantly biased that it's just one team has 8 power plays that shouldn't have had 8, and the other team gets none and they should have had 8. But yeah, I mean, you're going to look at that and kind of go, I'm a little nervous, but yeah, the officiating was fine. It was a non-factor, I would say.
I thought it was one of their better jobs of the series.
Yeah, they just kind of let the teams decide it. Yeah.
Gager, what do you think?
It was funny because I thought of Tommy, because I saw that little part on Oil Stream yesterday when he was complaining about the backside ref kicking guys out, and it happened in the first period. I go, oh my God, Tommy's probably losing his marbles.
I'm an official. I'm going to kick you out of the draw. That's what he sounded like yesterday, right?
Oh, it's so funny. No, I mean, I felt bad for the Canucks that, the way the sticks are now, they're so, I mean, if you get your stick in between someone's legs like that, and they pull a stride, I think it was it Fogle or that drew that penalty in the third period there, or was it the second? Might have been this, or maybe it was the third. I can't remember, but yeah, and a lot of Canucks fans I saw were complaining right away about diving, and I mean, there's no way he doesn't fall in that scenario, right? Both feet are off the ice, and he's trying to, get high stepping and going. It's a penalty, and I didn't feel like the refs wanted to call something like that because it was really not a.
Well, you can't just watch that one go though. I mean,
But yeah, and that was a great sign to me. Looking at that and going, they're calling the rule book. Like okay, that's still a penalty. Doesn't matter where it is in the game. You get your stick caught up in guys' feet like that, and they go down. That's a call. Right call. Good job by the refs.
If you are watching or listening right now, you can text us 780-218-9999. If you're listening only, please tell your friends how easy it is to consume our Edmonton Sports Talk content on TuneIn, on iHeart, or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Obviously, always free and for the most part, uninterrupted as well. If you're watching over on YouTube, you can argue with Cass in the nasty chat and hammer a thumbs up. Mm-hmm. It is Two Guys and a Goalie presented by GS Construction. Gage, let's start with you on this one, man. What is they win the series. Boom. Well done. Took 7 games, whatever. They win the series, they advance. Of everything we learned about this team in this series or the changes they made or players emerging, what was the biggest takeaway for you about this team coming out of this series?
Oh, that's a good one. It's a tough one to answer because there's a few things.
Right? There is a few.
I hope I don't get the same one Cass does, or you can come up with something else, Cass. But I have to say through this both series, I think the fact that they played great, but I think the fact that Connor and Leon don't have to do all the heavy lifting. There's moments that there are, but I looked at last night as an example where. And some of the fourth line from the game before making huge contributions to this team. Not only having to rely on these two guys. I mean, it was kind of necessary in that one game to overload them, but then Nabla didn't do the same thing of just sticking with those guys paired up. I think they're more effective when they're separated. There's times when, of course, to put them together, but I think the fact that just this team can win without the nuclear option when things aren't looking great is another element of the Edmonton Oilers that they haven't had in past playoff runs.
Cass, what are you going with?
Their ability to lock it down and play team defense, good team defense. That to me is the
Those
biggest
last
thing.
2 games, right? Specifically, I mean,
yep.
Yeah.
Specifically, and also their inability at times to get out of their own way, which we know is an issue at times. Dallas has the same issue. I would say it's we saw a couple times thus far in the playoffs for Dallas where it was a similar type of issue where it's like they just do things like use the McLeod turnover as an example. We could use the Bouchard turnover as an example where it's just like sometimes they just do things and you're just like, what was that? But overall, yeah, the biggest thing for me was in the playoffs, their ability to lock it down, which I think that is better now than it used to be in prior playoffs.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. I mean, I was leaning towards, and I think Gager kind of summarized it, but I was just really impressed with the fact that they went on the road in Vancouver in Game 7, won the game, clinched the series. Connor McDavid had no points and had 1 shot on goal. Like, this team is in a spot where they can win that game without Connor McDavid having to carry them to a victory. I don't think that would have been the likely script that we all would have written for Game 7. So that was big. I also think this emerging talent of Dylan Holloway and the confidence that this guy seems to be playing with right now could go a long, long way for this team. We talked all year long about who's the 6th guy in the top 6, and then for a while, Kane wasn't even up there, and they're using Fogle up there. Now you've got Kane and Draisaitl looking like they're starting to click, and I don't know if it's just because they're playing with Dylan Holloway, and he suits that spot on that line very well. But Gager, Holloway just looks like he all of a sudden was like, hey, I can make plays in the National Hockey League. Like the play, I guess it would have been in the 3rd when he came down with Fogle. And he didn't just try to like flip it over to him. He kind of quickly toe dragged it and then slid it, like brought it in and slid it over. Like that's at that game at that pace to make that play. I was like, damn, like he's really getting confident now.
That was an unreal move. That's like, I was like, wow, I had to check the jersey number again to see who that was. There was another play too with he could have just blindly shot it. Same. And I think he was with he might've been Ryan at that point. I can't remember exactly who he was with, but just smart plays, knowing when to pull stuff like that. And the physical play, this kid,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. He's changed my opinion. I mean, I've been quite hard on him over the last. I didn't think he's done enough to deserve where he should be in the top 6 of the lineup. I still thought he had to improve his game, but now we're actually seeing what probably a lot of scouts and maybe what he's been able to do in Bakersfield and gain some of that confidence. Probably, I would say that goal had something to do with it. That goal was unreal, and to give him a little bit. There's always those moments, right, Cass, where they can take a while. Like the self doubt sometimes. Do I belong in this league? That was I can play in this league moment for him probably, and it showed directly after that.
It's an interesting case to me, guys, because if we look back, not even this season, but the season before, where he had like an absolutely unbelievable preseason, like lit it up in the preseason and was fantastic. And we're all like, does he get 30 points this year? Does he get 40 points this year? And then, stepping into the regular season was like grade A turnover, 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 Bakersfield.
Yeah.
Like where that's happened. And we've talked about it multiple times on this show about, he's a player. If you look at where some of the players in that draft class are, where he's played less because of injury. The development time has been less because of injury. And maybe now we're seeing kind of the culmination of now he's had enough time to get some experience, to get the confidence, to get the games underneath him, and to grow and develop as a player. And Gage, I think I agree with you. I think that goal was huge for him. And I will admit, I was wrong. I didn't think he was going to play at the start of the playoffs at all. He was like, he played really well down the stretch, did some good things, but probably not going to be in the lineup. It's going to be the next man up sort of thing. And they obviously liked enough that they saw that they put him in there. And I was wrong. I was wrong about him being ready to play in the playoffs. Completely wrong. And he has shown us now that right now, as of now, he is. And he has brought an element to that top 6. Like, he brings speed. He brings some work. Like, he's not afraid of getting dirty in the corners. He will go to the front of the net, and he can fly. These type of moments, it has a feeling to me. It's like, and Gage, you kind of mentioned it. Like, there are those moments when it's like a player emerges. You go from kind of just being there to really being there, and you moments where it's like, and it doesn't happen for everyone. For some people, it's like a slow development where it's like slow stages till they're ready for something. But we could be seeing one where it went from, okay, he wasn't ready, but now he's ready. He has shown that he is ready. He has shown that step is there. We'll have to see long term, but yeah, what a game 7 for him, and a great series too.
Yeah, and what does it do for him moving forward in these playoffs for the Oilers? I mean, it completely changes the way you view their top 6, allows everybody else. Remember they brought in Henrique and they're like slotting. Now everybody can play where they're supposed to play. Now Dylan Holloway is taking that spot in the top 6, and everybody else can still play where they're supposed to play, which I think is a huge, huge bonus for this team right now. If you are listening, you can text us 780-218-9999. If you're watching over on YouTube, obviously hammer a thumbs up for us over there as well, and subscribe to Edmonton Sports Talk if you haven't already. You are listening to Two Guys and a Goalie, presented by GS Construction. We will get to your bigger and hotter headlines. We'll get to hire it or fire it for GS Construction as well. Jay Siggy Rocker says, Holloway looking amazing, allows you to play this team the way it's supposed to be played. I'm so glad that we didn't trade that guy. So, and you know what? With the way that this roster is going to shape up next year, there's a top 6 spot just sitting there waiting for him next year as well. So if he can continue to finish strong here, he could find himself locked alongside Leon Draisaitl for a long time here in Edmonton, which is a pretty positive moment and momentum for that kid. Who's the MVP of this series for the Oilers, boys?
Easy for me.
Okay.
I don't know, but Gage, I don't know if you want to go first.
It's Evan Bouchard.
Concur. Easy.
Yeah,
Easy.
It's unanimous. It's unanimous. Today when we were talking about it, Lieutenant Eric and Zach Dickham were both making a pretty strong case for Leon Draisaitl. But Bouchard, I mean, that would be number 2 for me too. But Bouchard, 11 points in the 7 games, couple of game-winning goals. The best hockey I think we've ever seen him play. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong there. But yeah, I mean, how big is it that this team with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and a 50-goal man and Zach Hyman, Gager, we're sitting here after a hard-fought 7-game series against the Vancouver. This was not like a sweep where Bouchard had it easy. Like, this was a tough series to play in, and I would 100% agree with you that he was their most valuable player. What does that say about him right now?
Well, if you have any of these games recorded, go back and watch how physical the Canucks played him too, right? They hit him.
He took a beating.
Chance.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah. And he gave it out too. Like, it was that's probably, we all know about his shot, and even I marvel at him. Like, he loves just ringing that bell. Like, every time he shoots the puck, it seems to hit that post with that high pitched ding that comes through, which is awesome. That just reverberates throughout the whole rink. But no, aside from the one gaff where really, it looks like a little bit of a miscommunication where he thought he had more time than he did behind the net there. He was great, and a threatening shot. Every time he shot the puck, it was a threat to go in or do something special. So, and just the physical play of him, unreal series. And again, this is what I go back to: someone else coming to the forefront and being their best player, aside from 21, 29, and 97.
Cassidy, first defenseman in NHL history to have 20 points through 2 rounds.
Yeah,
and they didn't even both go 7.
And they didn't both go 7. Yeah. No, he when you look at that series, and Gage, you touched on it, but stylistically, how physical Vancouver was and how they tried to bring it and aggressively pressure Edmonton. One of the keys to the series to me was Edmonton's defensemen going to be able to deal with the pressure, and not all of them did, not all of the time. But Evan Bouchard led the charge. When you look at minutes played, quality of minutes, he was good. And we had someone write in yesterday in the nasty chat, or it may have been via text, that was just like, he's still basically passive in the defensive zone and still a huge liability defensively. And I'm like, well, no, he's not. I don't think he is. He's still on occasion, and he only had one, and he's had one all playoffs, where it's like the one turnover.
That was a killer.
That was a killer. And early in the season, he'd made those huge mistakes all the time, but they largely have been out of his game for a while now, or for a good chunk of the season. And that was the only one in the playoffs. But outside of that, it's like, I don't have any criticisms for him. He did a great job of getting the puck to the net, great job of getting it through, scored goals because of it, was good on the power play. Power play struggled a little bit the last couple of games. It comes through when it counts with the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins goal. But Leon Draisaitl is a close second, and I get where someone could make the argument with that, because he was pretty dominant at times too. But to me, Evan Bouchard, we talk about when we're evaluating teams heading into a season and contenders and who's a contender, who's not, like what team has the makeup. And, we always talk about, well, you need the two producing star forwards. And you need a goaltender that's good or better. We always talk about you need that Norris caliber defenseman. And you just had Evan Bouchard outplay a guy that might win the Norris this year.
Yeah, fair enough.
Where he looked more Norris candidate than the other defenseman. And that's what you need. And teams that are going to win in the playoffs, you need people to step up and play that way. And in this series and all playoffs, Evan Bouchard has been that guy. He's been playing fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
A little bit more on Bouchard during Hire It or Fire It for GS Construction. So we'll get into that. Want to get into this over on the Nasty Chat. If you're watching on YouTube today, hammer the thumbs up for us. It just pushes our 2 guys in Edmonton Sports Talk content out to others on YouTube who are looking for similar stuff. Ty Loney, Certified Rice-A-Roni Jabroni is his handle, which is awesome. Am I the only one concerned heading into Dallas about Glass Banger Guy? You guys up to speed on this guy behind the net? What an idiot.
Yeah.
Well,
where's Alex Guinness when you need him?
Yeah, we'll throw some beef at him, and everything will be everything will be fine.
You know what? It reminds me of. So my first year pro, I played a bunch in the East Coast Hockey League. And there was a guy played for played in Beaumont, Texas. So we played teams in Florida quite a bit. And there was a team, Florida Everblades was their name. And there was a guy that would sit beside the penalty box. And if you ever were in the penalty box, he would bang on the glass and yell at you the entire time you're in the penalty box.
No way.
And what he would try to do, so apparently, so it never happened to me. Well, it happened to me like I was in the box.
You were never in the box? What the hell? Yeah. What are you talking about?
No, but he never did this to me. But rumor had it, so guys talked about on the team how people would say something and like someone had like squirted him with water and stuff. And I guess the guy was a lawyer and he tried to sue everybody. So it's like if you did something back to him, he would try to sue you and like file lawsuits.
What a dick.
Against. And so guys talked about that. Like, and you would talk about it going in, like, and if anyone was new, you'd be like, hey guys, just so you know, there's this guy that's trying to do all this stuff. If you're in the penalty box, and just ignore him or whatever. And all I would do is I turn, because it was in there more than once. And I just turn to him and I'm just like, dude, I'll pray for you. Like, you need it. And that was it.
I love it.
Like, that's what I said. I just tell him, I'm like, I'm just going to pray for you.
What a chirp.
You really do. You're really just going to pray for you. And I'm like, try suing me now. But yeah, but it makes me think of that, where it's just like, yeah, some people in the South. And I think, in Dusty, it may have been on your show this morning, where people, I think the comment was made, and I can't remember if it was LTE or if it was you, that said like Vancouver fans are the closest to American fans in terms of their attitudes, like in behavior. And I'm just like, yeah, you expect that with Texas. Like, that's what I mean. Just look at Oakland Raiders and their fans, and look at yeah, you're going to get people like that. So I don't think there's any need to be worried about glass banging guy.
All right, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Calvin C., I see your question about Bouchard and his contract, and Gord, I see your question about Draisaitl and his future. We'll save those for the offseason. All right, Edmonton Sports Talk is not just going to shut up shop at the end of the NHL playoffs. We're going to have the entire offseason to sit here on every single two guys and a goalie and talk about these contracts moving forward. So save them for the offseason. Right now, we are going to be setting up the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers in the conference final, the NHL Final Four. And right now, we're breaking down the win in Game 7 last night. Let's get into your bigger and hotter headlines. Brought to you by Big Mama's and Papa's Pizzeria. BMPP is a real pizzeria restaurant, not just a delivery pizza chain, serving authentic Italian cuisine with their made in-house pizza dough, traditional tomato sauce, and fresh toppings. Each pizza cooked to perfection. A pizza experience that you've been waiting for. Visit them at 12848 97th Street. Order today, www.bmpp.ca, or call 587-746-0550. Tweeted out another picture last night of another family that had ordered the 36-incher for a kid's birthday party. And I'm telling you, what's better? Ordering 6 pizzas or ordering one huge-ass pizza that the kids are all going to be like, you should have seen this pizza. It was bigger than me. So, Yeah, it's a game changer. Absolute game changer for sure. All right, bigger, hotter headlines around the league. We got to go here. Let's just start with the Vancouver Canucks. They're eliminated. They were missing Demko. They were missing Besser in Game 7. Cass, what are the Vancouver Canucks next season? What is this team moving forward?
You missed a guy. They were also missing Elias Pettersson.
Give this guy the hot take Smith. Hey, unbelievable.
That was funny. I'm laughing at my own joke.
You are.
I think you'll see more of the same. And we saw them emerge like under Rick Tocchet as being a team that can play that. And we saw them against Edmonton, play that aggressive style, play that physical style. Now the challenge for them still is going to be shot volume, where they generate some good grade A scoring chances. But if we look at what went wrong for the Vancouver Canucks, not just in the Edmonton series, but a little bit in the Nashville series as well, it's like they at times struggle to generate a lot of high quality scoring chances. And so what's next for them? I'd have to take a peek at their salary cap. I'm not sure who they need to re-sign this next season, but it's going to be, I feel like there's still one piece, like solid defense. You got Quinn Hughes. Is going to be okay. You know, how can you just get a little bit better offensively? And then just keep that momentum going that you've been building with Rick Tocchet and just what he's asking of the players. Because I think he did a good job. You know, he clearly turned this team around. And they're going to be a challenger again next year. They should have a very good team too.
Gage, just let me quickly lay it out here, free agents-wise, as Cass was suggesting. Teddy Bluger, Dakota Joshua, Sam Lafferty, Elias Lindholm are UFAs. Ian Cole, Tyler Myers, and Zadorov are UFAs as well. Right now, they have projected cap space of about just under $24 million. That's just a quick look over at Cap Friendly. Gage, where are you at on the Canucks now moving forward?
Well, there's a few of those pieces that I think that Dakota Joshua, although he kind of faded in the latter part of the series, he was a big physical presence at the beginning.
I really like him as a player.
Yeah, I thought he could have been the difference maker, but seemed to run out of a little bit of gas. That's an important re-signing. Yeah, I do believe the Canucks are going to be better. I could see a lot of those guys. I could see Lindholm resigning. It seems like Swedes love to play in Vancouver, so and to be close to the Sedins and have that that kind of connection. I think that would that suits well for them. Lots of Swedes on the same team, but the other thing, they're not going to catch a lot of teams off guard. I don't think next year. I mean, if you were to tell the Canucks where they would end up in the second round, 7 games against the Oilers with a chance to go to the conference final, like they would have said, well, I don't know if that's in our window for this year. So start of the year is going to be very important. They started out great, but I think it was a little bit, they caught some teams off guard. They're not going to get the same treatment next year, and they have to do something about now with Sheloffs or DeSmith. They have to find a way to make sure that Demko doesn't play north of 60, or else they're going to get into the same murky waters as they did this year with him. He seemed prone to a little bit of injury. They're going to have to find a way to play another guy and give him the rest that he needs, because that's a significant piece come game 83 for next year.
Yeah, you could definitely mix it in Shelovs. DeSmith is also an unrestricted free agent. I didn't mention that. So nice little 1-2 punch there between the pipes for those two teams. Panthers, Rangers. We're going to spend a lot of time, obviously, diving in to the Stars and Oilers official series sort of previews and predictions on Thursday's episode prior to game 1. But Cass, what ends up or who ends up being the difference between the Panthers and the Rangers in that series?
This is that's a tough one. Like I feel this is going to be a 7-game series. Like,
well, and if you want to get it, if you want to bet a 7-game series, plus 190 over at CoolBet right now, coolbet.com plus 190 to go 7.
There you go. I feel like it's going to be a 7-game series. I think Shesterkin is the guy. Can he steal 1 to 2 games for the New York Rangers? And will they be able to play enough team defense to hold back the tide of the Florida Panthers? Like, I feel it's going to be a really fast series. I feel it's going to be a really fun series. And I think it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. I think I have New York in 7. I think I got New York
7 at home in game 7, getting it done again. You know what's funny?
7.
On the Lock Shop today, we took a look at like the current Stanley Cup odds, and the New York Rangers were the best team in the league during the regular season. They've only lost 2 playoff games so far. They have home ice in the conference final, would have home ice in the Stanley Cup final, and they have the worst odds to win the Stanley Cup out of any of the 3 teams left. So there has been a weird disrespect of the Rangers from odds makers the entire playoffs. Gager, where are you at on the Panthers in New York?
I can't wait to see the chin-up champion, Tkachuk and Trouba, kind of go at it. Chris Kreider, I love the way he plays. It's very, the styles are so similar. And the goalie matchup is unbelievable, having 2 of the best Russian goalies go at it. Shesterkin, I was trying to think of who I give the edge to in goaltending, and I think I lean towards Shesterkin a little bit, just because his game's a little bit more refined than Bob's is. Bob's a lot more flow to his game than Shesterkin does. But I'm gonna go Florida in 7, just so I can yell at Cass, or he can yell at me.
Yeah, and I've already bet the series to go 7 at plus 190. So I'm just gonna hope for a nice long series. And if I had to, I was saying on the Lock Shop today, I think I was leaning Florida Panthers, but to make an official pick on it right now, 2 guys, I think I've leaned the other way, and I think I'm going to go New York Rangers. But what a great series. I mean, there's been some years where I've been like super excited for one of the conference finals, not the other. Not this year. I'm very excited for both of these conference finals matchups. It is the bigger and hotter headlines brought to you by Big Mama's and Papa's Pizzeria. Order today, www.bmpp.ca. The Maple Leafs have introduced Craig Berube as their new head coach. Gage, just the right guy for the job or what?
Maybe a little bit more accountability, get that rough guff style of play that maybe you see the same thing happen there as with Tocchet, right? Not asking guys anything that he wouldn't have done himself in his playing career. They actually showed a fight between him and Shanahan back in the day, which was awesome. So, but yeah, I think it's time for a change. Who knows what happens with the top four if something happens with Marner, but it's something that I think it's needed in Toronto.
Cass, what do you think?
It's such an interesting hire to me, and not because I think it's bad for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think from a fit standpoint, I think it's what they need, and I think it'll be a good hire. But what's interesting to me, and I had a conversation with a young NHL guy about this just the other day. It's interesting how the pendulum has swung, and what I mean by that is you had a huge swing one direction towards the player-friendly coach, like the guy that just makes everybody feel good about themselves, and the guy that's always encouraging and will never tell you did something bad and never tell you did something wrong, and just wants to give pats on the back and hugs and make everyone feel joyous about themselves. And I really feel like the last year, maybe two, you've started to see a shift, and you started to see a shift back to not just like a straight-up Tortorella style, but to an older school style where there's accountability there, and there's an expectation of accountability there. You see that with the Green hire in Ottawa. You see it with the Berube hire in Toronto. And maybe we'll see a few more here as time moves on over the course of the summer and next season. But it's just interesting to me to see that, that when people look at the roster and they look at the Maple Leafs, and even when management looks at Maple Leafs, they say, okay, we don't need a group that needs to be coddled and that needs pats in the back. This is a group that needs to have some accountability and someone that asks something of the players that are playing there and expects something of the players that are playing there, and will hopefully hold them accountable when or if they don't listen or don't perform or are just not playing how they are expected to play. So it's an interesting one to me because of that, just the broader scope of, I think, a pendulum in terms of coaching style that we're seeing in the NHL. But again, overall, I think for the Maple Leafs, I think it's a good hire. I still would have liked to see my old coach Dean Evason, who's very much the same way. Like, he's got a similar intensity to him stylistically. I would have liked to see him just because I love Dino be the coach. But I think Berube will be a good fit for that group overall.
Do you think that's you get the friendly coach when they're younger, Cass? Now that it's a little bit older of a team that maybe can kind of deal with it. They're more established NHL.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the first thing that
they've
popped
matured
into my mind. They're not.
There could be there. That's an interesting thought. Because
today's NHLer is different, right?
Broad. Yeah. Well, it's not even just NHL. We're talking like broader cultural trends with late millennials and Gen Z, or Gen Y, whatever the Gen. I guess it mostly be Gen Z, like the young players coming up, where everyone is incredibly coddled from the time they're young. From a player standpoint to now, junior is very different, and not to say that some of the things or a lot of the things aren't good changes. Being used to be horrible towards the rookies in the WHL, and that had already shifted quite dramatically by the time I was there. But it shifted even further to where now, if you talk to guys that are like 20 in junior that are still playing as 20-year-olds, where they're like, man, these 16-year-olds, like they expect everything, and they expect. They don't ever want to pick up pucks after practice. Like, they don't want to basically do any of the grunt work that sometimes you have to do when you're young, or you're new in a job or anything like that. And so there's a broader cultural trend, which is why it's so interesting to me. So that's a super thoughtful point, Gager, that, when players are younger, maybe they need a little bit more of the pats in the back, but then as they mature, it's like, well, pats in the back sometimes aren't enough. And yes, it can help some people, but some people, they need people to not just tell them they're great. They need someone to tell them the truth. And sometimes the truth is you're not always great. I'm not always great. You guys, I love you, but you're not always great. Like, we all have things to work on, and sometimes having someone that can, enforce some accountability and ask hard questions and say hard things can be valuable. So super interesting thought, Gager.
Let's get to the last one here on the bigger and hotter headlines for BMPP, Big Mamas and Papa's Pizzeria. And that would be Rod Brindamore getting an extension done with the Carolina Hurricanes. Gager, there's no way they could have let this guy walk. Right? I know he hasn't delivered.
No.
I know he hasn't delivered the title or whatever, but you got to keep going with him. Be scooped up immediately.
No, he's yeah. I mean,
there's another hire, same type of thing we just talked about.
He's the culture of the Carolina Hurricanes, I think. He's too embedded. I don't see, even when his coaching career is done, I don't see him going anywhere else, right? He would
just move up in
up in management. Yeah, I think it's going to go that way. Before it go, you see Rod Brindamore in another city. It's just an iconic picture of him raising the Stanley Cup, right? Like, I'd like to see him win it again at some point. Part of me was kind of hoping for that Carolina Edmonton repeat Stanley Cup final.
That would have been fun.
That would have been really kind of neat. But no, that's a no-brainer. If that didn't happen, that would have been one of the biggest mistakes in the last 20 years of hockey.
Cass, I guess it's just a matter of finding a goaltender that doesn't let you down in the playoffs now, or what?
That's pretty.
I'm trying to think what else they need to try, but
yeah, that's kind of it. You got the D, you got the forwards. I still, you kind of go offensively. It'd be nice for them to have one more piece.
Yeah.
Gensel, if they could retain him, that could be beneficial. If they could find a way to make that happen, and then the goaltending piece. Yep.
I'm just getting a refill on the two hoots here from YouTube, Trev. Thanks, buddy.
Oh, we can't see it.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Great. It's right here. He just filled it out. That was perfect.
You got to get a goalie that doesn't need a night off during game day.
Yeah,
and, that's unbelievable. You got to win it. You have to win a Vezina and a couple cups before you do
you
that.
start requesting that stuff. Yeah, Big Mamas and Papa's Pizzeria. If you haven't checked them out yet, 587-746-0550 or www.bmpp.ca. Go visit them at 12848 97th Street, second location on the way here as well. That'll be your bigger and hotter headlines. Let's dive in to Hire It or Fire It. You guys started this last week. I was not here. Hire It or Fire It, presented by GS Construction. They are hiring right now. Become a part of their great team today by visiting gsconstruction.ca or their page on indeed.ca. For the past 50 years, the foundation of GS Construction has been built on efficiency, quality, and safety. Take your career to the next level. Join the team at GS Construction today. All right, I'll make a statement. You guys fire the take or hire the take. You know how it works. Let's say this one here. I was torn on what the wording for this one should be. I was going to say nominated. I was going to say win it. I'm going to stick with win it instead of nominated, but Evan Bouchard will win a Norris Trophy in his career. Hire it or fire it.
I'm going to hire it.
Really?
I think next season he's got a really good chance of winning it. A fantastic chance of winning it.
90, 95 points, just one of those crazy offensive seasons.
Just one of those crazy offensive seasons. Yep.
What a world, hey?
I'm going to hire.
This is nuts.
Yep. Step out on the limb.
Gager, where are you going? Hiring or firing?
I'm thinking point totals. That power play with what he's done now, I think he can push probably 100 points. Yeah, I'm gonna hire it too. Yeah.
All right, sure. There we go. How about that? All right, breaking up Nurse and Cece was Knobloch's best move in the series. Hire it or fire it?
I'm going to fire it. Going to the captain, Jean-Luc Picard, was the
goalie switch. Switching up the goalies, eh?
I'm gonna hire it. I'm gonna hire it. I think it stabilized Nurse. It stabilized CC.
It did, right?
Both those pairings were better when they made the switch. Yeah, and that improved them dramatically from a confidence and a playing standpoint. So I think it was a right decision at the right time.
Yeah, Nurse and Desharnais were better than Nurse and CC, and Kulak Cece was better than Nurse and CC. So I really liked CC's game last night. Like outside of the Mr. Game 7 goal, I thought he made some really good plays in last night's hockey game. Goal aside, I thought he was outstanding last night. All right, Corey Perry won't play a game against the Dallas Stars. Hire it or fire it.
I'm going to fire it. I think someone's going to come out of the lineup. He's going to go back in at some point in this series. And it'd probably be he's probably itching to get back at his old team and create a mess, I would say.
Yeah. Was hire it to keep him? Is he coming
hire
in?
it would be that he will not play a game.
He comes in.
Okay, so you're gonna fire it.
No, I'm gonna fire it.
Okay.
I'm firing it. Yeah. No, I think he comes in. And Gage's logic is just too sound on that. They're not gonna sweep Dallas 4 straight. You're probably going to have some changes to the lineup at some point, or somebody getting banged up. Like the odds would be in the favor of him getting it at some point. So yeah, I got to fire it. He's coming in.
Calvin Pickard wins at least one game in the conference final. Fire it or hire it.
I'm going to fire it. I think I think we're going to see Stu Skinner for a while here. I think he's going to raise his game to another level. He's going to have to.
Fire it. Skinner's your guy.
All right. Well, we'll see. Final one here for hire it or fire it, presented by GS Construction. Craig Berube gets fired within 3 years. 3 years is a long time for a coach nowadays.
Yeah, it is a long time. Hire it. Hire it. Yeah.
Because you know what happens, Cass?
Because I think
if it doesn't work, everybody's gone.
everybody's gone.
Everybody's gone.
Yeah.
If they go 2 more years and they haven't got past the
Everybody's
first
gone.
round of the playoffs again, everybody's gone. Shanahan gone. Everybody gone.
Yeah.
I think. Gager, what do you got?
So yeah, I hire it. He's gone within 3 years. That team, they're a great regular season team. That's it.
It's not far off. I mean, that's all we've seen from them so far. So I would agree with that take. That's hire it or fire it from GS Construction, and 2 guys and a goalie has been presented to you today by GS Construction, setting the industry standard for 50 years with quality, efficiency, and safety, driving all of their success. Visit gsconstruction.ca and just click ready to work. Visit their page, Indeed.ca as well. And with their Next Up Person program at GS Construction, it's not just a job. It could end up being a career for you as well. You guys start to take a deep dive into this series because we are going to do a full preview on 2 guys and a goalie the day of Game 1 on Thursday. How good is it that it's 6:30, 6:30, 6:30?
Beautiful.
Hey, Cass, Mr. Post Game over there.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Like being able to do post game and like wind down and go to bed and be in bed at like 10:30 or 11.
Yeah.
Oh, so nice. So nice. Those 11 o'clock bed instead of like 12:30, 12:45, 1 a.m. if there's overtime. Like, oh, this is so nice. I love it. It's so much better. And my kids can watch too.
I know.
They can watch some of the games too, which is great. So, yeah, it's so much better.
Prior to Game 6, Marshall hadn't watched an entire game, so he watched all of Game 6, and then last night it was a late night on school night. But I was just like, you're allowed. Stay up.
Yeah,
it's
you got to let them watch grade
It's Game 7.
Game
But
7.
with these games at 6:30 and 6, I mean, pretty good chance you could watch every single minute of this series. So that would be, you know what I would like? I'd like to see one of the games go to like triple overtime and it's like 11 o'clock and Tammy's like, he has to go to bed. And I'm like, no, he has to stay up. This is a part of being a Canadian. Like, you can't go to bed prior to an overtime winner in a conference final when your team is playing. All right, that is going to do it. Gager, I'm sure I'll see you around these parts on Thursday. Cass will catch up with you on Thursday on 2 guys and a goalie as well. Fun show today, guys. 2 guys and a goalie presented to you by GS Construction. If you're listening on TuneIn or on iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, Nielsen Show replay is coming up after a small dose of Whale on the Wolf. If you're watching over on YouTube, you might see Gager and I randomly pop up tonight talking F1 at some point. So if you want to be there for that, watch for that maybe a little bit later on this evening.
You guys going to randomly talk about how I'm still winning and one podium?
No, Cass, we're not. Sorry, we're not. Okay, we'll talk to you guys later. See ya.